playing through this solo yesterday, and apart from just being reminded how great of a guitar player Brent Mason is, I was kind of just impressed with how good of a solo this is at showing how to play through the changes. So what do I mean by playing the changes? Well, in the case of this song, the song itself is in the key of D, and that doesn't change. But the chords are going to change throughout the progression, right? We have a G chord, which is our 4 chord. We have a 6 minor, which is our B minor, and then we have an A major. So as you're going to see here, when I kind of break down what Brent is doing, even though the key of the song isn't changing, when the band goes to each respective new chord, he's kind of shifting what he's thinking about in terms of what he's playing. So when he's playing over a G chord, instead of thinking about the key of D, he's going to be thinking about notes out of the key of G, and then same relative to like a B minor and an A. So today we're just going to go through that solo. We're going to break it down kind of piece by piece and really dive into and take a look at what he's playing over which chord and try to figure out and understand why it works. So we're starting over the 1 chord, so over the D, and Brent is mainly thinking minor pentatonic, few extra added notes, but D, like the cowboy chord position for D is great for those open, kind of those open string pull-off runs. We have our, obviously the D string open, we have our 5th fret on the A string. Pulling off, right, we have, anyways, all that stuff is minor pentatonic feel. So the solo starts with that bend, and there he's sliding into that from a minor to a major 3rd, and then so here he's outlining the D7, adding kind of that ghost note, and that's a common thing that Brent does is he's just walking down, but he's adding that flat 7 over the top of it. Yeah, so that whole section is it's just minor pentatonic, but he's using those open string pull-offs and then adding kind of like that minor to major 3rd. And then from there the song goes to the G chord. So what is going on there? This is another thing that Brent likes to do a lot when he's playing over a G chord. Is kind of outlining, once again, he's thinking G7 or G dominant here. So if the first 3 notes, he kind of does a little pickup note or an approach note, he's sliding in. But then he's playing the 5th of G. If we just think about like our G bar chord, then he's playing that G7. And then this open string is obviously just a G note itself. So that's just a G7. And then he's coming back to that flatted 7 again. But instead of playing a G here, he's playing, I think about it as like a G9 shape. You could also think about it as like an actual G triad, move down a whole step to give you kind of that flat 7 sound, which you hear all the time. Anyways, there's kind of a different ways of thinking about that, but you have that that dominant 7, still dominant 7 with the 9 added, and then that open string there, the B string, is just out of a G triad. But yeah, he does that kind of a little bit faster. He does a similar run up the G shape in Hot Wired, his song. Right, that's all just outlining kind of different positions within a G7 and a G9 chord. So that's what's going on there. So he plays those 2 notes, or sections of notes, and then he comes up here, and all he's doing there is you have your G triad shape up here, and he's just making a G7 and bending that flat 7 up to our root. We hear this kind of lick all the time in country guitar. Right? That's all just out of G. Anyway, so yeah, he jumps up. And that kind of concludes what he's playing over the G chord. So the G section ends, and then we're right here to resolve nicely back into the D chord. So that note you're ending on, which is in the key of G, it's a flat 7, but in the key of D, it's our minor 3rd. So he's bending that up, kind of to bring us back into like a D major territory, right? Because here's our D chord. So he's kind of doing that with his bend. So once again, all these notes now are out of D minor pentatonic. The only note that's not out of the minor would be that one. You could think about borrowing it from the major pentatonic to really keep it minor. You'd be doing that. But he was already playing kind of that G7 shape, so it works well to borrow that for the D run. So that's what's going on once the song goes back to the D again. And now the song goes to the B minor, or the 6 minor. And this is another excellent example of just outlining kind of the chord tones of the new chord that's being played. So we have our B minor here, and he's going to use what you could call like a pickup note or an approach note, where you're kind of like picking a note either above or below, just a half step above or below the note you actually want to play, and you're sliding into it. It's something that country has stolen from jazz over the years, right? So think about our regular minor arpeggio, and he's just approaching all of those from a half step below. So yeah, he's not, I guess there's one note that he doesn't do the pickup note for, but that's all that's going on there, and it sounds super cool and kind of unique and jazzy, but he's literally just playing that, but adding those slides in there. And then right at this point, the song goes to an A chord, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you know how much I like soloing out of like the major pentatonic box shape. Which, if we're in the playing over an A chord would be here. So he's just adding that bend right there. So this kind of transitions nicely from that B minor. He ends on that minor third of B, and then transitions right away to that A major bend. So those parts together, A chord now, yeah, the B minor chord and the A chord both, I think they share a bar, so a little bit less time soloing over each chord. But yeah, that's all that's going on there. And then we go back to the D. So he's doing kind of a slide, which is just kind of added flair at that point. But the meat and potatoes of this section, let's see. Yeah, so he's going. It's tough to play slow. So all that's going on there, right, we're thinking D again. And this is going to be an excellent example of mixing major and minor pentatonic, which I'm always harping on here. But these bends right here, one of them is minor, one of them is major. And how I like to teach these and how I like to think about them is if we're out of like the minor pentatonic box that's based off of our root, so up here on the 10th fret, it's just this bend right here. But instead of jumping all the way up to the 12th and 13th fret, he's doing it here, which we can think about if we know all our pentatonic shapes. We do have the minor pentatonic down here available to us as well. But that first bend, that's all that's going on. And then he jumps down three half steps, which puts him into major pentatonic territory. The same as jumping down here would do it. So yeah, he's going up on, he's on the 8th fret, and he's doing 2 dead notes, and then he's coming down here to the 5th fret. So adding a few, kind of adding a few extra notes there, and then he's ending on that flat 7 again, right? Which is a fun way to kind of change up that country bend. We so often hear it resolved to the actual root, but a fun way to alternate that is it's just to resolve it to that flat 7. So that's what's going on there. And that wraps up the solo. So hopefully that kind of helped shed some light into how these professional players that are playing this stuff on sessions, how they go about playing over a chord progression. This is definitely one of the hardest things about learning country guitar, learning how to anticipate the chord changes and then knowing how to kind of shift what target notes you're aiming for as the chords change throughout a song. So don't be too hard on yourselves if it's not something that just clicks right away. This stuff takes years to fully kind of like digest and really get to the point where it's kind of second nature to you in your playing. But yeah, breaking down solos like this is a great way to kind of keep that process going. When you're learning these solos, make sure you learn the chord progressions behind what you're playing over. If you just learn the solo, you might not realize, oh, like the reason that works is because he's playing it over a B minor chord as opposed to the A chord or vice versa. Hopefully that all made sense and is useful for you all. If you have any questions about what playing the changes entails, I've made a few other videos kind of breaking it down, but feel free to ask some questions. I try to address those as best I can in the comments section. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for checking out the channel, and we will see you all in the next video.